According to the Soldiers Project, 22 veterans a day commit suicide.
As an organization in 2004 by Dr. Judith Broder. She's a psychoanalyst in Southern California. And a couple of things happened. The first was, it was 2004. There were a lot of military service members coming and going from the Middle East. It was kind of right at the height of the Iraq and Afghanistan conflicts. And she was walking on Santa Monica Beach and noticed there's a annual display of crosses that get put out in memoriam of all the service members that we've lost. And she just noticed the vast amount of people that have been impacted by this issue. In conjunction with that, she also saw a play called The Sandstorm, which is a series of monologues told from the perspective of Marines in Iraq. And it really hit her hard, just understanding the experiences that our service members have while they're in combat. It can really have a huge effect on you, not only when you're over there experiencing that, but after you come home. And so she noticed that there was an issue going on, and her idea of helping was to start this organization to provide free mental health services for military members. It was her idea of national service, and so we've continued that today. We became a nonprofit organization in 2010. We do get people who are from the early 2000s era, so age-wise, we experience a variety of folks. But something that's different from our program is that we don't discriminate based on their branch of service. So there are 5 branches of the military: Air Force, Marines, Army, Navy, and Air Force. Or did I say Air Force already? Coast Guard. Plus, we take National Guard and reservists. Doesn't matter if you've seen combat, and a big part is it doesn't matter your discharge status. So for places like VA, you need to have one of 2 honorable discharge statuses in order to rate services with them. If you have a dishonorable discharge, you don't get anything. You don't get mental health services. You don't get your GI Bill, which is, your education benefits, your housing benefits. And it can be really tricky for people who have those discharge statuses to get services. And a lot of the times the reason they have a bad discharge is because they had a mental health episode. And they are then barred from treatment. So we don't ask people questions about their discharge status when they come in for our intake. So that's a big thing that we see, at least in our services with our clientele.
The Soldiers Project is helping those veterans who have served after 9/11.
Yeah, it's really simple. They have to call our intake number, and we have 8 chapters in 7 different states. So depending on where the service member is located, they'll probably have a different number to call. And they will do an intake with one of our staff. The intake is pretty simple. We just ask them a series of questions, when they served, what they're coming in for services for, whether it's, post-traumatic stress disorder, relationship issue, anger management, depression, anxiety, whatever they're looking for in terms of therapy, where they're located, when their availability is, things like that, so that we can best match them with a provider in their area, because we don't want folks having to drive more than an hour every week to therapy. Otherwise, no one's going to go. We really try to spatially match folks with providers. So they do the intake process. We then send their information to our volunteers to say, hey, we have a client. This is what they're looking for. Are you available? And then if a provider says yes, we will then match the client with a provider, give them contact information, and then from there we're kind of hands off. So the client is then responsible for setting up their first appointment with our provider, going to their therapy sessions, and then our provider will report hours every month for how many hours they saw each client and whether or not their symptoms are improving. So it's a pretty simple process. We do our best to get folks into therapy within a week of their initial intake call. We have a little bit of a wait list just because one of the clinics down in Southern California that was also doing this closed. You're doing something that is so honorable and has such an impact when you're in the military. You serve a huge purpose. And then when you get out and you're unemployed and you're sitting at home all day looking for a job, you don't feel that purpose anymore. and it can be really difficult to reintegrate into civilian life. So we are looking into this peer support program as a very preventative approach to keep people moving forward after their time in the military. I'm just really grateful to have the opportunity to work at such a place that really takes value and pride in the work that they do, and really wants to listen to the clients and understand what kind of services they're looking for, and then implement those changes in order to be the best and provide the best care that we possibly can, because these people sacrifice a lot to serve our country, and it's only fair, and they deserve the best care that they can get.